is Liv and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about some popular authors, both YA and otherwise, that I have never read. Recently I saw that Becca over at Becca in the Books did a video where she reacted to a really old video of hers talking about popular authors she'd never read. It was kind of like an update style, like if she has read them since then. And so I was really inspired to make this video from that, so I will link her video down below if you'd like to go watch it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So there's a lot of popular authors out there that I have never read because personally I feel like I tend to stick more towards what I know, what I know is good, authors I know I already am going to like. So there are so many authors out there that I have never read just because I really haven't given them a chance, but I've heard so many things about some really good authors. So I have 10 here for you today that I would like to read in the near future, and then maybe like a year from now we can kind of do like an update, see if I have read any of these authors since then. I do own quite a few books by these authors, so I do definitely plan on reading them. But without further ado, let's just jump right in. So the first author that I want to talk about today is one that I know is very beloved in booktube and in the book community. I've actually mentioned this author a couple times on my channel, and it is Brandon Sanderson. With me today, I do have the first book to Brandon's Mistborn trilogy. There are so many books that he's written. It's actually kind of insane because all of his books are huge. Like there's the Stormlight Archives, Arithmetist, Skyward. I have read a little bit of this book just to kind of clarify. Some of these books I have read a little bit of, but these authors I've never read a full book from them. But this is definitely one that has been like a top priority for me. I'm currently trying to read it, and I'm vlogging my experience with that. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm really enjoying it so far, so I do like his writing style. I feel like Brandon Sanderson is an author that I am going to read a ton of in the next year, and I feel like this was probably the best place for me to start doing so. This is what I've heard from everyone. This is the best place to start. So here I am. Next up is Angie Thomas, who is the author of They Hate You Good. I have wanted to read They Hate You Give for the longest time. I really want to see the movie, but I tend to try to read the books first. Otherwise, I take the movie as like what's correct, and then every time something's different in the book, I'm like, no, that's wrong. So I really like to read the book first, so that's why I haven't done it yet. Even my mother has been after me like, oh my gosh, you have to see this movie, you have to see this movie, and I'm like, okay, I need to read the book first. So I definitely need to read the book first, but I've heard so much about They Hate You Give and even her newer book On the Come Up, and I really, really want to read those because they sound so good. I'm really definitely trying to read more POC authors this year. I found there's that Twitter thread where it's like, which have you read? And then you answer like the 25, but it's just like yes or no, and then you respond and say like drop an emoji and I'll send you the list. I did that and I had only read like 7 of the 25, which I'm really disappointed in myself about. So this is definitely a goal of mine to read more POC authors, and I feel like Angie Thomas is a great place to start because there's so much hype starting this book. So many people talk about it, this big conversation, and I really, really want to finally read it. Next up, we have another author that I have seen everywhere in the past few years, and I know she has a lot of series out, but it is Renee Ahdieh. I know her big one is The Flame in the Mist, and there's also like The Wrath in the Dawn. I know The Beautiful just came out. So many people talk about Renee's works, and I've heard that her writing style is really good. So I am looking forward to that because your girl is a sucker for like a great, like beautiful lyrical writing style. So I really hope that's what she has. That's what I've heard someone say, so I hope I'm not mistaken with that. But her books sound wonderful. And I mean, it's fantasy, right up my alley, it's YA. So basically all of the things I love, she has brought to the table here. And so that is definitely something that I would like to try out. I don't know, she might not be one that I do get to in this next year. I would like to if I have time, but I feel like her books haven't quite called to me enough yet, and I don't know why. So that's definitely something that I do need to fix. But yes, she's definitely one on my list. Next up, I want to talk about Holly Black. With me today, I do have The Cruel Prince, which is her newest series that has been out. That there's so many mixed reviews. Everyone has talked about this series. I know the third book, The Queen of Nothing, just came out, but she's also got like The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, Spiderwick Chronicles. She's written so much, and I am so surprised that I've never read a book of hers. authors because I feel like she is someone that I should have as like an auto-buy author. I feel like I would love anything that Holly Black would write. Like that's just like, I don't know. Her stuff does call to me in that way, but it's stuff that I've also just kind of pushed aside and read other books in place of and just kind of put it off, and I'm like, okay, I'll read it eventually. But this is one that needs to change because I really, really want to read The Cruel Prince, and I don't know why I haven't yet. This is definitely one that I am really excited to finally get to. Hopefully I'll have something to say on this in the near future. I'm excited. Next up is one that I'm really, really disappointed to say that I've never read a book from her, because I own basically the majority of the series that she's put out, but it is Marissa Meyer, the author of the Renegade series and the Lunar Chronicles. I have owned this copy of Cinder since I was 12 years old. I don't know why I've never read it. This is one that I even I had my mom bring this to me when I was in college because I wanted to read it, but for some reason I still never did. It's a goal of mine to get through this book at some point this year. I have read the first couple chapters and I enjoyed it. It's definitely one that I need to read more to decide if I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm kind of just meh. I'm kind of indifferent at the moment because I don't really know the characters. I don't really know what's going on aside from the fact that it is a retelling of Cinderella and she's a cyborg. I have been really into retellings lately, and so they're kind of the majority of what I've read so far this year. So this is definitely one that fits the mood I'm in currently, and so this I feel like will be a very soon read for me. And I know Emma from Emma Books talks about this trilogy nonstop. She absolutely loved it, and I feel like it's definitely something that I am also going to love. I just need to take that dive, finally stop pushing it aside, take that dive, read it, and like they're thick books. They're thick books, but that's definitely more to love, more to read, more to enjoy. I really want to get to know these characters and see what everyone's talking about, so this is another one that I need to read very soon. Next up is another author that I have started one of their books, but I've never finished it, and it is like, I'm speaking this into existence, that I want to finally read a book by Jay Kristoff. I have read about 100 pages of the first book to Illuminate. It is currently back home in Illinois. So that's one that I'm actually really hoping to get to when I'm home for a couple weeks at the end of the month, which is his series that he co-wrote with Amy Kaufman. And aside from Illuminate, they also wrote Aurora Rising, which I really want to read. Oh my gosh, they all sound so good. I love like the mixed media format that Illuminate has, and so it's been a quick read thus far. I just need to finally finish it because I'll read a little bit, put it off. Read a little bit more, put it off. And that is definitely a habit that I need to work on breaking in 2020, is finishing the books I start instead of just putting them down and setting them aside for other books. That is like literally my worst reading habit, and so that's something that I'm definitely trying to break. But I've heard so many people talk about Jay Kristoff's writing. I also really want to read the Nevernight series, I think it's called, but it's never in stock at my bookstore, but I feel like that's probably for good reason. There's definitely a lot of hype around Jay Kristoff's name, and so I feel like that definitely has to be for a very good reason, and so he is definitely one that I need to get to. Next up is an author that I used to see a lot of people talking about, but I really haven't heard much about her these days, but it is Alexandra Brecken, who is the author of the Darkest Minds series. The Darkest Minds is, again, a book I started, put down, and never picked back up. I got about 50 pages into this, forgot everything, so I need to reread what I had started. This is another book that I really, really, really want to watch the movie for, because it's about kids with abilities, kind of superheroes. Again, love superheroes. This is a series that I feel like I am definitely going to love. I know a lot of people did love it when it was really big. I don't know, are they making the rest of them into movies? I haven't heard anything following the first movie, but again, I haven't seen it, so I guess I really haven't been looking for any news on it, but I hope they continue. I get so sad when they make like the first movie from a series and then they just completely cut it because it didn't do as well as they thought it was going to, unless the movies are really, really bad. Percy Jackson, Disney, Percy Jackson, please. Yes, The Darkest Minds, and aside from that, there's also the Passenger series, I want to say. Both of those I know a lot of people talked about like years ago. I haven't heard much anymore, but I really, really want to read those. Next up is an author that I feel like has one of the biggest names in fiction, no matter what demographic you are, whether it's like a children's book, middle grade, YA, adults, and that is Neil Gaiman. There are so many books I could talk about that Neil Gaiman has. I've read like the first half of the Norse mythology, essentially just an anthology of tales from Norse mythology, which I really enjoyed because I love Norse mythology, like Thor, Loki. Hello. Neil Gaiman has so many other books that I know he's like created these world, like American Gods, Coraline. I love the movie Coraline, so maybe I'll finally read the book for that one. There's so many, like The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I know my friend Olivia absolutely loves that book. I feel like there's something for everyone when it comes to Neil Gaiman, so I finally need to, again, take the plunge, read a book. Need to find a good like starting point for his book, so maybe American Gods. If you've read any of Neil Gaiman's books, please let me know down below if there's like a certain one I should start with. That would help me out a ton, so thank you in advance for that. And finally, the last author I want to talk about today. We're starting big. We started big with Sanderson. We're gonna end in probably one of the biggest names in fiction, which is Stephen King, the author of this absolute behemoth of a book, It. I feel like I kind of want to read a Stephen King book just because everyone talks about Stephen King. I am not a horror fan by any means, but I do really like the new adaptations of It, both chapter 1 and chapter 2. So after seeing chapter 2, I finally picked up this absolute monster. Like, it is 1,100 and something pages. That is massive. I'm pretty sure the longest book I've ever read was Kingdom of Ash, which was like 10 pages shy of 1,000. So I'm gonna have a time with this one. I know Read by Zoe read this in one of her like 24-hour readathons. She read the entire book in like a little over 24 hours, which is absolutely wild. I cannot even begin to fathom how it would be to read this entire book in a day. Like, can I have your reading ability, please, Zoe? Please. I have never seen anything else by Stephen King movie-wise, like The Shining, Pet Sematary. Really not my thing, but again, I did really enjoy the It movies, so I finally want to go and read this. And who knows, maybe I'll develop an intense love for Stephen King. I have no idea. So I guess we'll find out. All right, and there you have it, guys. That was my list of 10 popular authors that I haven't read yet, but would really like to. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you're a fan of any of these authors. If so, what books should I start with from them? It would help me out a lot. I really want to know. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already by clicking that button down below, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video, because I do upload every Monday and every Thursday on this channel. As always, thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.